Welcome back to the Veeries and Numerous podcast, episode number 44 with Crypto MC, Eugene Romanenko. He's responsible for over 100 articles and thousands of interviews, over 3,000 interviews according to his website. I don't know the exact number, and is currently the host of the Nifty podcast, which I went on last month as I was lucky to go on there and talk to him a little bit. Welcome to the show today, sir.
Thanks, bro. Thanks for having me again. So it's a pleasure to talk to you about Austrian economics, crypto, and our crazy world, which is moving towards, I don't even know where.
Yeah, it's we're living through some very Orwellian times. It's I don't know if we want to start off on this note, but it's almost like everything I tweeted or I posted yesterday that it's almost like everything Ron Paul warned us about it we're living through now. It's very interesting. I rewatched his or listened to his farewell speech yesterday to Congress in the United States. It's unbelievable. Like everything he said in that speech, we're just like one by one, just knocking it out. So we're living in some sort of like dystopia. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. You know, last time we met with Ron Paul, he was pre-recorded at the Liberal Land 50th anniversary event in April 2020, years and month ago. It was pre-recorded, but it was a pleasure to announce, like an MC. I was clapping in my hands. I am announcing Ron Paul, and video started. Ron Paul was talking. Yeah, I do agree. I do agree that nevertheless we have an incredible development of technologies. Internet, cryptocurrency, the world is totally united by the information, by money. And we have maybe, due to this development of technologies, every part of the world may see what's going on in another part of the world. So we are sitting, you're in the US, I'm in Europe, we may literally know minutes by minutes what's going on in Syria and Iraq or in other hot points of our world. And that's crazy because 50 years ago, we could have bought a paper or newspaper and read that's the word somewhere. And now we may observe this is in live air, live stream, like Elon Musk launches, whatever he launched, or Jeff Bezos flies to the space, and the world is going somewhere. And that's crazy. We understand that the world has become so close due to Facebook. Thank you, Mark Zuckerberg and Google for making this happening. The world is about such the podcast, such a changing of minds, a changing of thinking. It makes life a bit easier because it's about friendship and collaboration. Totally.
Absolutely. I like that response. You turn something into the positive there with so much negativity right now. It's good to have a positive outlook. And I think we're using this technology we have to definitely counter some of the bad stuff that we don't have to talk about exactly who's doing it, but there's definitely certain entities that are working against humanity, I would say. But let's get into like what you're focused on right now. You're doing a lot with NFTs. What caught your eye with NFTs? Because a while ago, you and I would have conversations. We've been friends for a while, many years now, actually, and we would talk about Bitcoin. And I think you were a Bitcoin maximalist, but you were at least strongly in favor of Bitcoin. What changed your mind about smart contracts and NFTs?
Oh, this is related to my current project. I'm the podcast host and NFT protocol and NFT protocol. These guys are my friends, the strong technical team. They are doing some very useful thing like it's called wrapped NFTs. It's a very useful thing that just the protocol for NFT. My friend advised me, asked me to join it as for marketing. It does mean that I've become so interested in NFTs personally because I think NFTs, like non-fungible, this idea is quite simple. Unique object token. If you know what token is, the idea of NFTs, it's much more simple. And that's why I think we do have hype in the industry because any musician, any painter, any art object creator may even understand totally non-technical person may understand what this unique digital certificate is. But the potential NFT I'm trying to explore in my podcast, and I'm doing daily on two languages, in English and Russian daily, two episodes daily. It's a lot of work. Nevertheless, it's so interesting. And I'm trying to realize the potential of NFTs. And it's very huge. Everybody is saying we are just in the beginning of the industry. And this is true. I don't even understand what world NFT, or I would use term NFTization, we may say. Where will we have in 3, 5, or even 10 years? Perhaps everything that could be tokenized with NFT would have been tokenized. That's my strong opinion. And I am personally interested in this topic as the economist, of course. I try to understand technology first, but the economics counts the second. Why people will use technology which enables them to create and to transfer real assets in digital form. Okay, but they are real assets. The principles of methodological individualism, of subjective value and price discovery are the same. They are theoretically the same. And the background in Austrian economics totally helps to understand what's going on in crypto. That's why I'm crypto, because I am an economist of the Austrian economics, right?
Absolutely. You just basically jumped my next question. I was going to ask you to talk about, like, do you think that this sort of like I think Michael Saylor might have been the one that, like, recently I heard talk about like how we dematerialized all these things onto apps, onto applications, but now we have distributed applications. So first we started with like Bitcoin and distributed money, but now we can actually like distribute, like, it's incredible, because with NFTs, like, you could tokenize your the ownership of your car or whatever, and you could send that, across the world, and there you have the proof right on chain. It's like, do you think use cases like that will come, or do you think that like a lot of like the legacy law system will survive?
If you are driving to the question, will we have tokenized world of real assets or a digital asset? I personally divide these two worlds. I really think, watching what's going on, that utilizing NFTs or digital assets in totally digital world, which is not related, not tied to real physical things. For example, digital art is not tied for real estate object or cars. It's much more simple to do something, because the legal system of any country doesn't make any obstacles to do. It's totally free, total freedom for do whatever you want. And when you just start to think, and I was asked a legal expert in my podcast, do we have any chances to sell somewhere in future cars or real estate objects in NFT? They say, yes, but maybe when legal constructions in every country and so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. And I'm so pessimistic, because legal system of countries are just a conjunction of super flexible and super rigid system. That's a conjunction. Robert wrote, power and market. Why do we have this dichotomy? Because these are two parallel words. The first world, markets, people, they are moving with a high velocity. And the second part, government, legal system, and public government tries to keep the homeostasis. And today's situation and the conjunction of crypto world and physical world is this, how to say, the border where these two parallel worlds are touched, and we see the conflict of this. So what I am trying to say, that I'm so pessimistic of using NFTs and tokenizing markets of real assets, and I'm super optimistic in using NFTs and tokenized assets in totally digital space, where we don't have the obligation to connect them with real world and legal constructions of any state.
Yeah, that's a very good answer. I like that. There's definitely going to be many use cases that we can't anticipate, but right now, that made perfect sense to me. What do you think that, like, somebody like Murray Rothbard, we both love to listen to talk about Murray Rothbard and Mises and these great Austrians. What do you think that they would think, like, about, firstly, Bitcoin? Because in the beginning, I felt like maybe the Mises Institute and then we're a little apprehensive about embracing Bitcoin, and I actually think they're becoming more believers. What do you think that like Rothbard and Mises, or let's just use Rothbard? What do you think he would have thought? Because we have more we have more videos and stuff on Rothbard. You can kind of like gauge his personality and stuff.
This is a tough question. First of all, I would start with the money classification from Mises' book, Theory of Money Credit. Do you remember that the first part, money in the narrower sense of commodity money, credit money, and fiat money, the first part of the diagram. I practically think when we take Bitcoin, in what part of this diagram should be? Of course, Bitcoin is not for money substitution. We do understand. Is Bitcoin commodity money? So. Is Bitcoin fiat money? 100% no. Is Bitcoin credit money? 100% no. I prefer to use term. I don't remember where I heard first, but synthetic commodity, a commodity but synthetic commodity. By the all the range, all the set of features, Bitcoin fits to the commodity part of the Mises theorem, and that's why I would say that any Austrian, not including Rothbard or any our Ascendants, they would have admitted Bitcoin. I think
so too. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I think it's a commodity too. It's a very nuanced debate where you could get into, it doesn't fit something absolutely perfectly, but it definitely is, in my opinion, a commodity. And I think synthetic commodity is an interesting way to put it, because it is made, was man-made. It's very interesting to talk about. Let's just talk about where do you think that where do you see us in this cycle? Because I'm interested in trying to predict the future, especially in Bitcoin, something that has been pretty predictable to some degree with the halvenings and things like that. Over time, we've learned more about these, and we have like an idea where we're going. I know you don't focus a ton on price, but where would you think that we might be in terms of cycles? Do you think that are you a believer that in the prolonged cycle theory, or do you think that cycles might continue to play out the way they have, where it winds down at the end of the year and we head into like a bear market again, and then the normal cycles continue? Or do you think it'll be a prolonged one?
I don't have an opinion about fiat price of Bitcoin, really. Concerning cycles, when you say cycles, first imagination is Austrian Theory, business cycle of boom and bust.
Yeah.
Let me give one more addition for the last my answer about the is Bitcoin or not. I love the answer of guys from Bankless Podcast. Maybe Ryan Adams and David Hoffman. They are running a good Bankless podcast. The guys are rocking. They are build a media empire. They're rocking every episode, day and email list and so on and so forth. But they used very good phrase. Let me remember. How to say? They're saying we're not agree that Bitcoin is not the is the thing that is not backed by anyone. We do not agree because Bitcoin is accepted by miners for payment. So you understand the thing, the way of thinking. Bitcoin is accepted by miners. Even in 2010, when you started in Bitcoin price was 0 and was accepted by miners for payment, for transaction. What does it mean? That means that Bitcoin was a commodity which had a value for a specific category of people, miners. That's why it looks like it's been a commodity. That's the answer. So about cycles, I've answered.
Yeah, that's a good. That was a good follow up. Yeah, that was a good way to put it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So let's proceed for the next question.
Okay, anything on the cycles or no?
No answers. I'm not paying attention or for Bitcoin price, because the phenomenon of price. Oh, everybody loves. When somebody says, "Oh, price of Bitcoin," I do realize that I'm talking with a man or a lady who doesn't understand the essence of the industry. Because all the brilliant minds in the industry, they are not starting to talk about price first. They're talking about philosophy,
Right.
centralization, and so on and so forth, and price is somewhere so far from that.
What do you think about I don't think you and I have had this conversation about Michael Saylor and these other like corporate, whatever companies, these big companies coming in and buying up a lot of the supply though. That's something interesting to me. Does that worry you at all? Because is that a threat to decentralization is basically what I'm asking.
Do you see the threat for decentralization? Then MicroStrategy buys Bitcoin for investment or what?
Just one entity holding a large percentage of the
Okay,
supply.
okay. No, I don't consider this as a threat because the decentralization for Bitcoin means that it exists in decentralized forms. We do have 10,000 nodes around the globe, right? Mm-hmm. Let's suppose, okay, if somebody has, let's say, 10% or 20% of all Bitcoin supply, and so what? Will it pump and down the market? I don't think so. Why did they do that? Why did they buy Bitcoin? For investment, for fiat investment. They psychology is fiat psychology. They treat Bitcoin like a gold, I think. They are guys from 20th century. They are looking on assets not because of decentralization technology, because its price grows. Mm-hmm. I think so. I don't think any threat.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious about your take on that. I tend to agree with you. What about these countries like the ones that are talking about adopting Bitcoin, as legal tender? What do you think about them? Like, what do you think about that? Like, do you think is just a sign of how far we've come, or is that what are your first thoughts of that? What were your first thoughts on that?
When I first heard about that El Salvador declared Bitcoin legal tender, my first thinking as an Austrian counsel was Bitcoin doesn't fucking need any recognition or it's legal for a legal tender. Because when the phrase legal tender appears, when we have counterfeit money or fiat money made by government, and we do understand that any real good man, sober man, educated man, he won't accept fiat money because they are counterfeit. And just in that, for this exception, the hypothetical government needs a legal tender law because of first comes counterfeit money, then comes legal tender law. Concerning El Salvador, as I said, as I wrote in Facebook, if the Salvador president was more clever, more educated, he would have said that you're Salvadorians, the citizen of Salvador, you may use any money you want. That's the real freedom, real competition, money competition. And declaring Bitcoin legal tender, of course, it works for PR of Bitcoin, but Bitcoin doesn't need PR anymore. Bitcoin is not a company. It doesn't need PR or marketing. And then I realized, I started the case of El Salvador. I knew a lot of their president. He's authoritarian, and his goal, I think, was not for making free for Salvadorian people. His goals were something others. We don't know.
Yeah, it does seem to maybe there's some hidden motivation. Also, the fact that they made it law that you have to accept it. I know you hate that because I hate that so much.
Yes.
As like an Austrian, like that goes against the entire point of Bitcoin. Like, so
I think Murray Rothbard and Satoshi Nakamoto would have laughed, ha ha ha, on this decision because it sounds weird. But we understand it sounds weird, but nobody. The majority of crypto enthusiasts, and you show these, say, "Oh yes, Bitcoin is legal too. Now we have won." Yes, we haven't lost or we haven't won. We had nothing. We had just another PR case.
Just a wash. Yeah, it was just a wash, right? Yeah.
Oh yes.
Very, very interesting to hear. Yeah, we're 100% on there. Well, one last question for you before we go here, because like you said, you're a busy guy recording 2 podcasts a day, like an animal. You've been doing this for years. I feel like I don't know how you do it. Any prediction on what's next in the smart contract landscape? I mean, you're talking to all these great engineers on your podcast all the time. Any inklings of what might be the next big thing to come? Out maybe not even NFTs, just something that they think that might be coming next.
I think I'm not the right person to ask this question. Nonetheless, I'm talking with a lot of technical guys. I'm not technical person. When you say smart contracts, I see a lot of lines of code. And really, I wrote programs some basic when I was in school and university, but I tried to. This year, I wrote a book about Ethereum. I wrote Andrew Antonopoulos Mastering Ethereum, but of course, it's a book written for programmers. I prefer to talk to people. I prefer to understand what's going on in general from the economics point of view. So when I have a question, I prefer to ask somebody like you do this with me. So we will see, but I know the one thing. Yeah, Stan, thank you for
Keep going. I'm just showing your website while you're
I know the one thing, that the velocity, the speed of events in our industry is 2x or 3x or even maybe 10x faster than in any industry. And I'm so happy to be in this industry because I need to learn a lot every day. Yesterday, I tried to make a short inventorization on how many resources I am searching for, I'm subscribing. And I was amazed because if I should have 24 hours a day listening, I would have listened it for 4 or 5 years just for listening, for reading. It's too much content, and it's impossible to understand. But I try to understand. It's difficult, but I try, and I'm so happy to be here.
Absolutely. I have to ask you one last thing. Actually, did you catch any of the? Did you get to watch any of the lectures from Mises U? Because ironically, the last time you and I spoke, I was like, I think Mises U University's coming up here in a couple. It should be coming up any day, and I honestly hadn't seen it. And it was like the next week. It was like a few days away. So I actually watched a few lectures, and I thought of you. I was curious whether you watched any or not.
Really, 42 lections, Mises U 2021. I bookmarked the playlist on YouTube and my bookmarks in my browser for watching in the nearest days. Until the end, I will. This is the content we need. The quiet time and not hurry up time for understanding. This is like a drinking good alcohol, to listen to the Mises Institute lecture. We need to enjoy this kind.
You have to digest it multiple times sometimes. I'll go back and listen to the same Murray Rothbard lecture like 20 times. That's not even an exaggeration. Like I'll play it when I'm driving around or wherever, travel or whatever. Yep. So would you have anything you want to tell anybody that they should read Austrian wise before we get off here?
Would I like to take once again?
Any of the classics? Would you give one? Any? You already mentioned Man, Economy, and State. I think. Are there any classics that you would say that somebody should read that is new to crypto?
Oh, my suggestion for crypto new buys. For crypto?
No. New crypto people that should study the old Austrian stuff. The
old Austrian.
Yeah, the classics.
The classics, Human Action, Mises, of course, Man, Economy, State, Rothbard, Theory of Money, Credit, Mises, I also love Jesus here at the soda, money. Let me remind
That's one I
economic
haven't
cycles.
read. I can't help
Yeah, yeah, money, economic cycles, and credit. That's all. That's all. That's
That's a
all.
lot to read there. So
Yes,
that might take you a couple years.
but we have a whole life for education. We need
Yes.
to self-educate during all life. No, no another way, no alternatives.
Absolutely. Sir, it's always great to talk to you. I'm glad to see that you're smiling and doing well and enjoying life, and that we're able to do this for a living and see Bitcoin just really just change the world. So, and I just really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. It's also a pleasure. I think we made a lot of stances today.
Absolutely. Everybody make sure you go check out Eugene's website at cryptomc.com. Hang on one second. I'll say goodbye to you.
Bye-bye.